Room, where we tackle the unspoken, uncomfortable, and unseen truth. Join Lynda Carmouche, your host, a licensed therapist, mental wellness strategist, and speaker, going beyond titles, addressing the emotional scars, hidden trauma, fears, and the silent battles many professionals face but rarely discuss. Come on in. The Elephant Room, where vulnerability meets strength. Hit subscribe and connect with hope, healing, and the courage to address the elephant in the room. Remember, the content here is for informational purposes only. Seek help from a qualified professional for mental health concerns, and discretion is advised for sensitive topics.
Welcome to the Elephant Room, where we work to heal the person behind the title, whatever title that is you're hiding behind. Damani, better known as my big black therapist, thank you for being in the Elephant Room.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm definitely excited to get back up in here.
All right, so we're going to hang out and talk a little bit, but I want to make sure that you know who Damani is, just in case you did not see him on the episode last week. So Damani, who is also known as my big black therapist, so that's what you'll hear us call him throughout the show because that's what he's known as. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist associate. He works a lot on men's issues. He has done a lot of work in the mentorship lane with big brothers, big sisters, making sure that volunteerism is alive and well. He is a husband and he is a daddy of two beautiful little girls. And today we are going to hang out and just talk, have some real conversation about healing some of the things that's behind the title. Oftentimes we hide behind our titles while the person, the individual, is suffering. And today we're going to get into it. But first and foremost, my big black therapist, we had to do a re-record because our sound was messed up last week. And I want to normalize having to rewind and do something over because a lot of the times we think we have to be perfect. We think on social media, people show up and they are perfect. When I say normalize having to rewind, tell me what comes to mind for you.
Normally have to normalizing having to rewind. See, I just did it there. It's perfect. What it does is it just brings reality to things. This is what life is like. Too many times, especially on social media, we spend 25, 30 minutes on a 30-second clip because it has to be perfect. It has to look great. And what that does is it internalizes perfection. And if I'm not doing it in this way, then there's something wrong with me. And that's not how life is. So, I'm appreciative of last week. I was dropping some gems too, y'all. I heard myself. I was like, oh, this is good stuff, but it's all echo. But that's okay. That's okay. What I realized in retrospect is that, this is what life is like. And being able to acknowledge it, being able to take a step back like you did, reached out to me immediately and say, hey, let's get back in here. Let's do it again. I appreciate that because we could have just moved forward. We could have just moved on, but it just shows what you're producing and what you want to put out is something that's authentic and something that people can get. And it's not just, oh, I had this person on, I had that person on. So I'm very, very appreciative of you inviting me back and letting us get the thing over again. But like back to your question, like I said, it just normalizes life because that's what life is like. We don't get everything right the first time around, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. Let's just do it again and see what the outcome happens.
So you dropping gems already because I'm not going to let you say all this and not jump in and unpack it, right? So one of the things you said that I think is very important is normalizing that it's not perfect. Last week it was a good show and there was a lot of amazing things said. We don't have to blame anybody. It was really just life, and electronics are what they are. But sometimes we get stuck and we're trying to point the finger. Whose fault is it? Why didn't it go well? I spent that time doing this. And we spend so much time on what didn't work that we waste time and on moving forward. That's why I reached out to you. And I'm so grateful that you were able to pivot, because you could have had an attitude. You could have said, look, I did it. That was my commitment. I'm done with it. But you made it easy for me because you said, let's do it.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. You didn't ask a million questions. You just simply said, let's do it. And I appreciate that.
No problem. No problem at all.
So I want to jump into the real conversation that we came to hang out and talk about. When we talk about being comfortable and embracing who I am and loving all of me, one of the things I realized is we usually see that from a feminine perspective. Now, I don't know about from your perspective because you're a man, but in most of the conversations that I'm having with people, we see that whole self-love piece or not loving myself from a female perspective. Talk to me what it looks like from a man's perspective.
From a man's perspective, that's a very good question. So loving yourself can be challenging. The reason why is because we are very critical individuals. Men are very critical about everything that we do. And we base life off of what others perceive us as. We base our self-worth off of what others perceive us as. Like, if we're gonna have an honest conversation, let's talk about relationships. Guys will get certain things because, I need the latest Jordans, or I need the latest outfit, I need this and that, so that I can attract someone, so that I can attract, the opposite the females, or whoever I want to attract. And we base a lot of our self-worth when we have these conversations about the alpha male and all of these different things. These are all just social constructs that we're just trying to push, social agendas that we're trying to push to make other people like us and feel accepted. And that's something that we kind of struggle with. So being able to learn how to self-love, learn how to take care of yourself, and really pour into yourself and say, I am beautiful, I am this guy, I am a great individual, has to be learned. And a lot of times for men, it is either pushed in a way of, it's either hyper focus on our physical attributes, or the way that we can do things financially. But it's never really internalized. Like, yeah, I'm that dog when it comes down to playing sports, when it comes down to doing something competitive. I'm that guy when it comes down to finances and everything else like that. But what about emotionally? Like, how am I taking care of myself? How am I loving myself in that area? How do I feel about myself? Do I really feel like I'm worth, getting what I need to get, or not worth getting? Like, being able to get into that realm is very important. And that takes work. That takes individual work, that takes couple work, and that takes a lot of intrinsic looking at yourself to really, forgive, love, and learn to be accepted by, or learn to embrace who you are as an individual, and not worry about what everybody else says or have views upon you.
So you just gonna go on real deep real quick. So
I'm just gonna go ahead and
is it possible? Is it possible for a man to not love himself, but truly and thoroughly love somebody else?
Ooh. Now you don't really did that. Is it possible? You don't really did. You don't really went in there. Okay. All right. Cool. All right.
I'm just trying to find out. And I don't even know if it's possible is the right answer, right question. What does it look like for a man who doesn't love himself completely, loving or attempting to love somebody else?
So once again, it goes back to our upbringing. Men are groomed, not groomed, but we're taught to be to serve others. When you get a wife, when you get children, you are supposed to die doing everything for them, and that's it. It doesn't matter. Like your wants, your feelings don't matter. It's all what happy wife, happy life. It's all about sacrificing for the children only. It's all about doing these things for your mate and making sure that they have the best life possible and yours don't. That's welcome to being a man. You know, that's what we're
So is
taught.
that what
Like,
you said that's what you all are taught, but is that
yeah,
healthy?
absolutely not. Statistics have shown that it's not healthy. I mean, men are dying at faster rates than women. Even in my own life, I could tell you within the past 4 years, I've had to say goodbye to, I would say between 8 to 10 people, all under the age, well, except for one, were all under the age of 50. And
Wow.
except for one, all of them were men,
Wow.
and all of them were men of color, and at least 4 or 5 of them had children under the age of 10. And that's just that's within the past 4 years of my life. And I would say at least 5 out of the 10 that I can remember off the top. I'm just thinking off the top. 5 of them dropped dead. Like it was instant. It wasn't a cancer. It wasn't they got hit by a bus or shot or anything. These stress related, health related symptoms that caused them to not be here anymore.
That's it. That's
And
it. That's it. We're going somewhere now. That's it. Stress. I keep saying this. Stress kills.
mhm.
What do you think men of color, black and brown men, are stressing about to the point it is impacting their physical health?
So it's not just the thing about it is a lot of people want to, ask it like, what is the big thing? Think about it. It's compounded. It's all of the small things that we keep swallowing. It's a small and it's first off it's internally. Sometimes we don't believe in our own success. We don't believe in this. Have these self-fulfilling prophecies, but it's the small things that just keep adding on the layers and the layers and the layers, and our body just can't take it because we're not releasing it. If in our early years it was released out of sports, I get that aggression out of sports, but we're still not talking about it. We're still not processing it, so we're still holding on to it. And sometimes the trauma from my mom saying that I didn't believe in you at 3 is still part of that at 43,
Wow.
and it's still weighing on us at 43. The amount of fellas that I've had sit across from me, and we've had real sessions where real tears are falling because we're finally forgiving ourselves. We're finally saying that our 5-year-old self can breathe and it's okay, and it wasn't your fault. And all of these different things, that amount of release of stress is just leaving the room. It's amazing to be a part of, but it's also scary because I know that there's so many other brothers who are also holding that on too. And I believe, that's what happens. Like we have a lot of the small stressors coming in, and then that affects our health. And then we also have our underlying conditions, and then our fear of going to the doctor to get checked out normally. So then by the time we get there, it's too late. And now we're at a point or at a stage where these are damages that could possibly be permanent or take years to get out of, or in instances like I said with some of the guys that I met, like some of the guys that I know, we
Wow.
our time is up.
Wow. Wow. So let me recap what I heard
Hmm.
you say. You said sometimes men are experiencing things in their little boy state,
Hmm.
but because they're not releasing it, they're not talking about it, they're not processing it, they're stuffing it. And even though it happened at 3 or 5 or 7, it is still impacting them at 43, 45, and 57.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when you talk about being a husband, being in relationship, being a father, if it's impacting them,
It impacts it impacts the family. And I can give you a personal, like, this is my personal life. My wife told me that. Like, I was going through some things and I was holding it and eating it, and she was just like, "This is affecting us. Like, it's not just affecting you. What you bring in here also is reflective in how our relationship is and how our children are affected. Like, we
good.
got to process this. We got to go through this because
Ooh.
you think it's not. Oh no, I'm just holding on and I'm pushing it over here. It's seeping out. Just like
Ooh.
you put enough stuff in a room. If you keep putting everything in that closet is gonna grow until it grows. When people come over to the house, you stuff everything in the closet, and then all of a sudden that closet starts spilling over, and then it goes into one room. And then you just say, okay, I'm gonna just shut this room, and then all of a sudden it spill out, and then you like, okay, well they just can't go on this side of the house, and then so it continues to grow because we're not taking time to clean it out. We're not taking time to go through the stuff and say, okay, I don't need this, or this isn't worth anything, or why am I holding on to this? Why am I still holding on to this? You know what? I need to let this go. It's
Ooh.
the same concept with what we're dealing with. Sometimes we hold on to certain things in our life, and it's like, why are we still upset? Why are we still holding on to this? Look at the life that you have based upon where God has brought you, and you're still
Come
holding
on
on
with
to this
it.
point. Let it go.
Let
Just
it
let it
go.
go.
Let it go. Let it go. It reminds me of the explanation I give a lot of the times of the elephant in the room. The elephant starts as a baby, but the more
Hmm.
you feed that elephant, the more you walk around that elephant, one day you walk into the room and the elephant has taken over the complete room because we have not dealt with the elephant that is sitting in the middle of the room. We keep ignoring it.
Yeah,
And gratefully, you have a wife who said, look, dude, this
tighten up.
impacts all of us. But sometimes when you go to the brother and you say, hello, this is impacting all of us, that brother has a responsibility to hear that loved one say,
Yeah,
we got to do something about this. We got to process this. We got to deal with this because it does not only impact the person who's going through it.
absolutely,
It does not.
absolutely,
It does not. Sometimes people think if something happened in your childhood, then the older you get, time heals all.
yeah. I've heard that so many times.
Are you
Time
trying
don't,
to beg to differ, my big black therapist?
time don't, all time does is keep going.
Yes.
Time keeps going.
Yes.
And what happens is if in unless we process it, unless we take a look at it, all it's going to do is dig a deeper hole. That's
Mm.
all time is going to do because if you're choosing to ignore it, if you're choosing to act like it didn't happen, if you're choosing to be upset about it, you're giving that energy to that hole, and all it is doing is just sucking to suction. It's
Ooh.
almost like a vortex. Like, it's just continuing to seep and it's continuing to grow. That hole is just going to continue to grow, and anything that comes around it is going to pull it in, and that's all you're doing. Or what happens is you got a whole bunch of these little holes all throughout your life, all throughout these things, which just start. We just got to. Where did it start from? Where did it go back
We
from?
got to go back.
Let's get that.
We got
We
to
got
go
to
back.
go back. Let's plug that up. Let's plug that up, and let's continue to move forward.
We got to go back. We have to go back. One of the things I heard you say is men have to learn to love themselves. And that's not a bad thing.
Not at all.
Sometimes we don't know. You know, there are some things, I'm not a man, but there are some things I've had to learn about Lynda, and I've had to learn to love her. You know, sometimes society teaches us that what you present as is not acceptable, it's not the norm. And so tell me, has there ever been a place in your life and in your journey that you've had to see yourself differently than the narrative society put before you?
Absolutely. I mean, that's my name. I'm a big black therapist. That's the whole concept of coming up with, well, I didn't even come up with this. Is what I truly believe God placed this on me throughout my life. And that was something that I had to learn. Um, I'm 6'9", 380 plus pounds. Like I am a large man, and everything that the world or the community wanted me to do was just related to sports or something physical. Oh, you should do security for this place. Oh, you should play sports over here. Oh, you should do that. Oh, you should do that. And I didn't feel as if that was my calling. But what that also made me feel as if was that I was inadequate, because who am I? Like I struggled with that for years. Like, what do I do with my life? Because this is what I'm groomed to be. And I don't like it. So now I don't feel like I'm worth. Like I lost my self worth because I'm supposed to be playing sports, or I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm supposed to be security, and that's the only thing that I can be based upon what everybody else tells me. But I had to take an intrinsic look at who I am, and hear God. For me, I had to hear God. And once I began to go on this track of social work, once I began to go on this, take this opportunity to move forward in that way, uh, that really opened my eyes. That really gave me my purpose. And it was my wife that helped me narrow it down to therapy, along the lines of me going, um, just because I was just out, making money, but I still wasn't believing in myself. I still didn't feel that calling. And just her challenging me, and really, pushing me towards moving in the way that God's calling me and hearing Him. That's when I stumbled upon marriage and family therapy, and I was just like, my God, like this speaks to me, because I love working with people, I love working with the community, and I love helping others, and I love pouring into people. I was doing it for free for 12 plus years,
We don't want to
so it
do
was
it
just
for
like,
free.
no, 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 no. We off that now. We off that now. So that's when I was definitely pushed and understood. And back to the answer to the question, it was when this past October when I even let my wife know that I wanted to go into being called, branding myself as my big black therapist. There was just some hesitancy on that. And understandable. Like it's not anything wrong with that, but being able to learn and hear and trust and believe in yourself, because that's what I was doing. Now, for the first time in my life, I was betting on me physically, and me not even just not physically, but using my mind, using my heart, using my transparency as a way to reach the masses. And I trusted God on it, and I stepped out, and
Wow.
things are happening.
That's an awesome testimony, and it makes me think about how often society, people we loved, people we do love, people we trust, how often do they create a box that we should fit into? And when we don't comfortably fit into that box, how it makes us feel inadequate,
Yeah,
how it makes our self-worth decrease. And what would it look like had you not taken an intrinsic look inside and begin to search out what is your purpose outside of what people groomed it to be or drew it to be? When you were talking about it, what I saw was other people said go left. And you said there's something in my heart that's telling me to go in the opposite direction. And you
absolutely.
said something that's pivotal. You said, I bet on me. I took a chance on me. I believed in me. And I think
Yeah,
there comes a time in our life where we have to stop and say, when I see me, Is it what I genuinely see? Or am I looking through the mirror that everybody else created for me? I remember my big black therapist when I was debating about going natural. I was 30 years old. That's been almost 20 years ago. And I can
Stop lying.
remember, I'm telling
Stop
you,
lying.
I
It's
can
5 years.
remember, I remember the day I did it. I went to the lady's shop and said, cut it off, cut it all off. And I remember feeling almost like I was birthed out of this place I had been. Because at that, now natural hair is a thing today. That wasn't
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
But I had struggled with going back and forth, back and forth. And my struggle was really about what people are going to say. Because I'm a professional and I'm supposed to have the bouncy hair. I'm supposed to have the layers cut in my hair. I'm supposed to have it bone straight was a thing at that time. And I can remember going to court to testify on a case about 2 days later, and a gentleman walked up to me and said, "What did you do to your hair?" And it was a moment of truth for me. And
Yeah.
I responded in a way that it was less than professional, but God has delivered me since.
Well, amen. 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 Thank you
But
for the blood.
even that, I remember people saying, like, "What did you do to your hair?" Or "What is going on with your hair?" And it was a challenge for me to stay with it. It
Yeah.
was a process for me to learn to grow and love it and wear it big and bushy, and not all the strings have to be in place. And when you look at it, it seems simple. It's hair. But a lot of us struggle with our identity and with accepting who we are because of what society, media, social media, or other people have said about us. And I'm glad you're
Absolutely.
bringing light to the fact that it's not just women that have to embrace their truth, but it's also men.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's also men.
100% agree. We struggle, and as men we struggle with that a lot. Because everybody wants to be one of the guys. We all want to be one of the boys, and it feels good to have that camaraderie, especially because we don't have safe spaces typically.
Yeah.
So whatever space we have where everybody agrees with us or we're moving in the right area, then that's the space I want to be in. And then then we have, but then on the opposite we have those who say I don't want anybody, and I do my own thing, and now I don't care about anybody. So then we're lonely, but yet we have to put on the shell of I will be the bad guy in this area, and just now I'm venturing off on my own, and I don't care about anybody else. So it's about learning that balance. It's
Oh,
about being able to stand on your own and still be able to own your identity, but yet still be able to be in all the rooms and feel confident in those rooms to a point where you don't have to be. They don't have to be your enemies.
yes.
Like you may not like my hair, I love my hair, but I'll still commune with you. I'll still have conversation with you. I don't have to cut you off because I've accepted and I love who I am, and what your views of me, your outer exterior views of me, don't have any type of hindrance to me where I'm going to give you space to be upset. Like I'm not going to allow you to have space in my life for me to be
Did you
pissed
say
off at you and walk around with.
I'm not gonna give you space?
No, no. And that's something that we have to realize. Like when we hold grudges against people, we are giving them space in our
Yes.
life. We're giving them space because now I avoid you. If I hear your name, I feel a certain way. If I see you in a room, I leave.
Mhm.
Why am I giving you all of that?
No,
No, no,
no,
I'm not giving you that. I
no.
refuse to.
Because that's toxic in and of
Yeah,
itself.
absolutely.
And we only have so much capacity to carry things. And if we
Yeah,
use the capacity we have to hold negativity, it impacts who we are. And the longer you hold that negativity, the more it impacts your core values, how you show up, how you love. It disturbs your peace.
Absolutely.
So it's so important for us to let it go. And people don't have to love us, but we have to get to a place where we love ourselves.
Absolutely.
So I want you to
Absolutely.
talk to the brother who is sitting on an island by himself. And I know that you help deal with men's issues and anxiety and implicit biases, but I want you to take a moment and speak to that brother who may have been hurt, who may not even know how to do community with other men because it's uncomfortable for him. If you could give advice to a brother who struggles with loving himself just where he is, it could be because he's done time before. It could be because of
Yeah.
rejection, abandonment. He may not feel as educated. He may hate some decisions he made in the past. I want you to speak to him in whatever it is you want to tell him. I want to give you space to do that.
Okay. Well, first off, brother, I want to tell you, turn around. A lot of times we feel like we're on an island, but we're just on a peninsula, and we're just looking in one direction. That's not the world. This one track area that we're in, that's not the world. That's not where we are. I want you to turn around and take a look, man. There's so many people out there who are going through the same thing that you're going through, who are going through the same process that you're going through. And I know the urges. I know the want to reach out. I know the moments where you call or you text and be like, "What's up, bro?" And then they respond, but then you say nothing. I know that one is there, and what I'm encouraging you to do is take that next step. It just takes a moment of vulnerability. One small moment of vulnerability to be able to possibly change the course of your life. And it's hard. So I'm not gonna sit here and talk to you like it's easy. God has put me in a space where I am more comfortable of doing that, but I struggled with that for the longest. Up until even 7 years ago, I didn't even believe in therapy like that. And look at me now. Like I'm on the other end because I was able to process, I was able to be honest with myself, and I was able to ask for help, and I was able to listen. Listen to those who love you. Listen to those who care about you, man. That's your significant other. It may be your wife. It may be your girlfriend. It may be your boyfriend. It may be whomever. They may be talking to you and telling you these things. Listen to them. Lean into them. Take that opportunity because what's the other alternative for you to continue to sit here and look at this peninsula and feel as if you're on an island and walk out into the water? You have value. You have worth. I need you here. You're here for a reason. And all it takes is that one conversation. Even if you don't feel comfortable, man, shoot me a DM. Like my DMs are open. I'm more than willing to have that conversation to start the ball rolling. Because sometimes we just need a place. Sometimes we're afraid to get to that place. And it takes other brothers who have been through it to be able to reach out. And that's why I got into this field. Because I've been there. I felt alone. And now I realize that I'm literally around so many other people. And now it's my duty and it's my job to reach out and extend that olive branch. So even if there's not anyone that you don't, even if you don't feel like there's anyone there, you got me, and I'm more than willing to talk with you. Like I said, I'm more than willing to get that ball rolling. So that's what I got to pour to you.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. If somebody wants to connect with you, if they want some coaching, they want some therapy, if they want you to speak at an event, how can they find you, my big back therapist?
On Instagram, I am my big black therapist. On Facebook, I am my big black therapist. And guess what? I have a website, and I bet you can't guess what it's called. www mybigblack.therapist.com. It is, and that's it. Reach out, man. Shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. If you want to know more about me, I do have LinkedIn. I do also have Psychology Today with my professional information, which is Damani Anderson. All you have to do is type in Damani Anderson LMFTA, and it'll pop up. My Psychology Today, LinkedIn, everything else will pop up as well. But go to those sites, man. I'm more, like I said, I'm more than open. I'm more than willing to talk and process things and get you in the right direction. It doesn't have to be me. And that's another thing. Like,
Good.
there's so many there's so many of us out here. So I'm not saying this, I'm not telling you to call me so that you can talk with me. I can just be the plug. Let me be the plug. I'm fine with being the plug to get you where you need to. If it's not therapy, that's fine. I can still give you I can give you books, I can give you literature, social media references or YouTube videos or whatever to get the ball rolling. I just want to get the ball rolling. And
Good.
yeah, so I mean that it comes
That's
down
so
to
good.
workshops and everything. Please let me know. I'm more than willing. I love doing workshops. I love doing tailored workshops specifically for whatever mental health issue that you all may be processing. And I'm more than willing to do what I need to do to help my community.
That is amazing because the suicide rates among men that are Black and brown is increasing significantly. There you have
Absolutely.
it. You can catch Damani Anderson on social media as my big Black therapist, or go to his website, y'all, and check him out. If you have any men in your life, feel free to give them his information. Put him to work, y'all. Put him to work. Make him
Please.
work. Make him work. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate everything that you are doing in the space that you are in. I am Lynda Carmouche, y'all. I am the host of The Elephant Room, and our goal is to help you heal the person behind the title. A lot of the times we are hiding behind these titles, and the person is dying. Let's get together and heal. Until next time, take very good care of you.
Welcome to the Elephant Room, where we tackle the unspoken, uncomfortable, and unseen truth. Join Lynda Carmouche, your host, a licensed therapist, mental wellness strategist, and speaker, going beyond titles, addressing the emotional scars, hidden trauma, fears, and the silent battles many professionals face but rarely discuss. Come on in. The Elephant Room, where vulnerability meets strength. Hit subscribe and connect with hope, healing, and the courage to address the elephant in the room. Remember, the content here is for informational purposes only. Seek help from a qualified professional for mental health concerns, and discretion is advised for sensitive topics.